Good day everyone, Complaining Gamer here. I'm very happy to be able to share some filmmaking techniques that you can use to create any passion projects that you may have in your mind but have not been able to execute up to this point purely because we didn't have the ability or tools to do it. In this guide, the visuals achieved are done on PC using Cemu, the Wii U emulator. I'm going to guide you through the different ways so that you can start filmmaking within Breath of the Wild. Naturally, you'll need to have the game and the emulator already installed. The current techniques do have some limitations and we'll discuss them, but they do also have huge potential for growth, and I do expect that we will see this process evolve over time and we will gain more and more features. Creating visuals in Breath of the Wild is a huge passion of mine, and I hope to share some ideas and inspire some of you to make your own creations and to take it to new heights that we haven't seen before. We're going to be using the FPS graphic pack with cheats enabled. This is so that damage and stamina are of no issue during the filmmaking process. Link can't lose health and will never get tired. This is a key part of the process. Additionally, we'll be using the Pro HUD Plus graphic pack to remove the on-screen HUD elements coupled with the in-game Pro HUD option for a completely clear screen. For character speed, we'll be using the Librevr memory editor, and for game speed adjustment, the timers included in Cemuhook will be our tool of choice. With these controls, Link can move swiftly or with elegance, separate to that of the game itself, really opening up our toolbox of options. The final step is removing Link from the frame. To do this, we'll use the Invisible Link mod provided to us by Mr. Rider, Funi and Viperson1. With this combination of elements, your screen will be a blank canvas for you to create on. This has effectively made Link the camera itself. Your character has become comparable to a free cam, but of course, you must be wondering, how do we get the shots we desire? Allow me to show you. Just before we begin, you may have realized one of the first quirks, and that is that these techniques focus on landscape images rather than Link himself. To date, I'm not aware of a truly independent free cam mode, so Link's eyes will be the lens of your camera. Just to reiterate, we'll be using the FPS graphic pack with cheats enabled, Pro HUD Plus graphic pack with in-game Pro HUD enabled, the Librevr memory editor along with Cemuhook timers, and the Invisible Link mod. This isn't a full game installation, so you do need a very little amount of Cemu experience and the game itself. Make sure that you're using the most up-to-date versions of the tools mentioned here. You'll find links to them in the description below. An extremely crucial element of achieving this filmmaking process is the Invisible Link mod, which also makes the paraglider invisible. Now, without this, we cannot achieve any of what we hope to achieve. And let me show you how you install that. It's very, very easy. Okay, so here is the path on screen. I'll make sure to make a note of it for Europe and the US. And what we have is basically this content file. We're just going to open it up. And then we have pack. So what I recommend every time when you're making a mod is you make a backup of the relevant file. So back up your pack file in this case. And once you have done that, what we're going to do is simply drag and drop and overwrite. Now, what this means is Link will be invisible. So if you put any sort of armor on where his head is available, you're going to be in for a bit of a shock because he has no face. So anyway, let's jump right into it. In this presentation, the graphic packs I'm using are high-res shadows, an image resolution of 1440, along with standard default contrasty, FPS with cheats enabled, the LWZX crash workaround, NVIDIA explosion smoke, and Pro HUD Plus. Along with Pro HUD Plus, of course, in-game, where you go to systems and options, if you go down to HUD mode, you need to have Pro on. Once loaded into your save, this is how things should look, a completely clean frame. Now make sure that you're not wearing any armor or have any weapons equipped. If you do equip a weapon, it looks a bit like this. You just become a floating Master Sword. Now you can put armor on and off if you want to, and it works perfectly fine. A little tip that I have, if your armor ever gets stuck but you know that you've taken it off, simply save that moment and then reload and you should have nothing on. But I believe that issue has been fixed by now. So here we are, and as you can see, the filmmaking process can begin immediately. So the way things work right now is we are playing as Link, so we are walking on foot. If you want to do something a bit more cinematic, you can just plant Link and use him as a bit of a tripod. And of course, if you want to move around, you can have him as a mobile camera as well. A lot of the shots that you take will be dictated by the dexterity of your thumbsticks. Now, this is where I recommend another adjustment where you will decrease the dead zone of the thumbsticks in the input settings of the controller. Now, the reason you'll do this is so that you can have more finesse with your camera movements. Now, as you can see, Link is brushing the grass, so that's kind of impacting on our frame somewhat. But like I say, our goal here is going to be to get him off the ground for a moment and see what we can achieve by flying around. To change the controller input settings, simply go to Options, Input Settings, and where you have your controller inputs, go down to Dead Zone and just decrease that number to whatever you like. I've set the right stick and left stick down to 8 from what I believe was 33, and this gives you much more control over the camera. Moving on to altitude and aerial shots. To achieve these, we're going to use the Librevr memory editor, and this is going to be version 2.0.0.9b, and what this has is the ability to change our physical position all the way up to the sky or all the way under the ground. Now, if we go over to the editor, it's already connected to my game, and there's two sections that we're going to focus on: speed and position. Now, if you want to adjust speed, you simply change the multiplier. So here's ×1 in game. If we change that to 2 and click update, we go a bit quicker. If you're looking for a super fast shot, you simply increase this number. So let's say 50 and then update. And then of course, you're going to start moving very, very quickly. It just depends on the type of image that you're looking for. And of course, as you can see, it can lead to a slight control issue. So this is why we use the paraglider, because we have slightly more control in this scenario. It can at times be a bit difficult to manage the speed, so you don't need to go with such a high multiplier. You can say go with 5, and that's a bit more manageable, as you can see. And if you pull out the paraglider, you will effectively be able to just fly around. As I say, to get rid of the wind trails, you have to stop moving. Now, that's just one of the ways that you can get some of the shots that you want. Now, a secondary feature that's very, very cool is there's actually now a jump button. So if we go to position, we can just jump. We can just jump as high as we want. Once again, you can change that value so that you literally leave the skybox. But as I say, the more extreme you go with these numbers, the more issues you start to increase. There may be strange loading areas, there may be freezes even. Moving on to a somewhat unknown feature. If you have Cemuhook installed, you can take advantage of its timers. So if you go to debug, we're going to go to custom timer, we're going to change it to QPC. Now this has presented us with a few speed options. Now I must say in advance, this can cause a few crashes and freezes within the emulator depending on the speed you choose. So if we go with 0.25, all of a sudden you see this extreme slow-mo. So if slow-mos is something that you're looking for, then this is an absolutely fantastic way to do that. So basically we can control the speed of both the game and the camera independent of each other. Let's return the speed back to normal for now. and we'll go back to the memory editor and we will focus on position. So we do have this jump button, as you know, but we also have a lock height function. Now you may notice that it does indeed look a little bit glitchy, and you can see that in the trail of the paraglider. However, if we do not move, then this works quite well. The only issue I found with locking the height is that the camera goes a bit jumpy and stuttery. So this lock height is only good for a static camera position, nothing that involves moving. Well, should I say nothing that involves the left or right stick, basically, because left stick will introduce the wind trails and right stick introduces an unpleasant stutter to the image. So what we can also do is change this speed. Okay, so let's change this to, let's say, 100 and then click update, and let's unlock the height, shall we, and turn on the paraglider. So now we can effectively fly around Hyrule, but as I say, we do have these slightly annoying wind trails. So if you want a specific shot, what you're going to do is you're going to stop moving. Okay, when you sit still, you will slowly float down. Let's just float down to the ground. You can also just use a weapon to attack the ground. So if your thing is traveling around Hyrule at high speeds, you can do that. You can do that very simply. But of course, the control of the camera is somewhat in question. It really depends on the type of shot that you want. One thing that you'll find is you will reach map locations quicker than they can be loaded. So that's something to keep in mind. So you're starting to get the picture of what can be achieved. The rest is down to your imagination. So you can control and lock height. You can control speed. So the rest really comes down to what you see in the world. If you want to manually type in a value, simply click edit, then go to Y, and let's say 300, and we'll say OK. From there, I generally like to pull out the paraglider, because what that provides is a very smooth, nice glide. And also, when you do not lock the height and you do just use the paraglider, what you'll find is that you can actually get a nice smooth camera pan if that's what you're looking for. Whereas the lock height creates a few issues. Something to be wary of is the weather effects. As you can see, we are splashing in the rain. So this is somewhat imposing on our frame. Now, potentially in the future, the modding community might remove some of these effects, but will that have a knock-on on the rest of the game? I'm not sure. Another thing that you'll find is, depending on where you are, there may be fire effects and cold effects imposing on your image. Especially in a cold place, you will see Link's breath. Another interesting element of our position control is that what you can do is you can simply click new and it will lock where you are right now. So you can also save that, but watch what happens. Let's select another location as well. So as you can see, we're building up a bit of a list, and you can save this list. So if I click between the two values and click TP, which I assume means teleport, you can effectively have a list of locations that you know that you like. Let's jump into the sky and try it there, shall we? So we'll click new in the sky, and then we can just switch between our three values, just teleporting. There you go. So this is quite an interesting, cool feature within the memory editor itself. That's basically all you need to know to get started. We can control our camera speed, well, our character speed, should I say, who is our camera. We can control the game speed. We can control our physical position in the world, and the rest is left to your imagination. Now, of course, you may have noticed a few shortcomings with this particular method, and let's discuss those, shall we? First of all, this isn't strictly a free cam mod, because we are not detaching the camera from the main character. So for example, if you want to capture solo images of Link in action with the camera moving, we can't really do that right now. However, I do expect to see developments in this area, and hopefully rather soon. Secondly, I would personally like to see some adjustments made to the memory editor. Fantastic as it is, as well as the new additions, I believe that some of the settings need to be scrollable, so you can basically adjust them easier than manually typing in a number. We need some kind of scroll bar that we can affect in that way. It's just slightly more natural to drag value, in my opinion. You may have also noticed that we don't have a way of changing the time of day. Now, in-game, there is a mechanic where you can set a fire and you can pick morning, noon, or night. However, that isn't complete control over the weather or time. Now, hopefully we will see that, because in a now defunct mod, it did exist. So who is this filmmaking technique for? Well, basically anyone. Those of you who are looking for just a bit of fun and to explore the world in a different way. Perhaps some of you are getting a bit drained with your current experience and would like to mix it up. Maybe you're a screenshot enthusiast. Maybe you're very passionate about machinima type projects, or you literally want to create your own type of cinematics. I'll leave a link below to a variety of different videos that I've done using different techniques from the past. So go for it, go crazy. Let me know what you think about what I've presented here. Personally, I'm very passionate about this type of content. You know, I enjoy it very, very much, and I hope you do too. So you know what, go crazy, make some films, link them down below, leave a comment, show me what you've got. I'm very, very excited to see what the community can come up with. If you liked the video, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. And remember, I'm constantly on the video grind, so if you want to see more content like this, remember to subscribe.